Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's the preview of the third last Premier League game for West Ham as they travel to Leicester City on Saturday afternoon in what is surely a must-win or is a must-not-lose. We'll discuss that later, but before we do, we'll talk about our opponents. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the Foxes?
The Foxes they've let themselves down. They are much better than they're less than the sum of their parts. They're performing that way, certainly. They down tools, as we discussed it on a cup of tea. They down tools under Ranieri. I think, was it Craig Shakespeare came in. That wasn't good enough for he rallied them to a certain extent. He got a chop end of last year, as I remember. And then they got Puyo in. And I think when he came in, their form, it picked up. They managed to sort of almost make themselves safe quite early, and then it's just tailed off since then, and we've seen the usual whinges and moans. So apparently they don't like him now either, so he's probably on his way up.
Charlie, what's your thoughts on Leicester City?
Southampton probably should have been a cautionary tale for them with Puel, but they've got some good players who, on their day when they turn up, as we all saw, can be very, very good, but I'm not sure how much their squad and their team, or at least their first 11, has improved since that title-winning season. And I think a lot of those players were probably playing over their skin. They've made some okay signings since then, but they're certainly maybe starting to balance out where they might be for a foreseeable future.
I still think they're the best team outside the top six. Their first 11, I still think, is the best team. Jamie Vardy is probably the best striker outside the top six. Mahrez is one of the best midfielders outside the top six. And Didi is one of the best defensive midfielders outside the top six. Harry Maguire is showing he's one of the top centre backs outside the top six. They've got a very good squad there. It's like you two have said, really. They looked good. They've turned up when they've had to, but they just don't want the manager there. And again, I will never, ever criticise a fan base that is once a manager gone because they're bored of the football. I will never do it. It doesn't matter how successful they are. Charlie, Leicester City have not won in 5 home league games. So is this, bearing in mind that form, the manager, holiday mode, is this a good time to be playing Leicester?
It's the perfect time to be playing Leicester. Unfortunately, we've just not got the perfect situation to be playing Leicester. If there's any team in the division right now who I would be confident that we could possibly scrape a 1-0 win against, it would be Leicester right now.
But to put that stat into context, this is the trick with stats. While they haven't won in 5 home Premier League games, they've only lost 1 in 10 home Premier League games. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the manager situation? We've covered it briefly. We know what's going on, but do you think the fans, and I suppose the owners are apparently wanting the manager gone as well because they want to push on and do a little bit better? I mean, should they be applauded for their ambition, or do you think they need to accept that they're not quite top 6 material?
Well, they're not top 6 material, and I felt that Ranieri got the boot for really delivering what he was asked to deliver, and then some more on top. I think almost Ranieri was a victim of his own success because he delivered a title, and then they weren't quite that good, so he got the boot. But they won the title. They were never going to win the title again, so it was a case of let's have a go at the Champions League, and he did it. I think they got into the group stages, maybe. He really did.
They got quite far in the knockout.
Absolutely brilliant. You couldn't have done any more. But I've sort of felt, not that we would ever know, that he was asked to, okay, don't worry about the league for this season. Let's have a go at the Champions League. So one chance. And I felt he did. So I just thought he was the victim of that. Now you have to wonder, are their aspirations so high and perhaps too high? I totally agree with what you say about the football, by the way. It was more, I meant the players have decided they don't like the manager, by the way. So style of football, changing the manager for style of football is one thing. Changing them because you're bottom of the league is obviously another. So they're fine. They're in a position of strength, really. As you say, they've got some good players. Those players are on long contracts as well, so they'll get big money for them, and they can afford to take their time and choose a new manager.
Charlie, a quick look on the Leicester City fan forum this week would indicate that Jamie Vardy is saving himself for the World Cup. Mahrez is looking at going abroad to Real Madrid, and the players are on their holidays. So who do you consider to be their danger man on Saturday, or is it still those 2 big names that you fear the most?
It's still the big names. It's the names we all know from that season, really. Just because even, let's be honest, Vardy on his holidays or at the World Cup, however you want to word it, like saving himself, can still rip apart our defence like there's no tomorrow, as could Riyad Mahrez. I said they're a team who they work very well together. When they play together, they're really well drilled and flow really nicely forward. But if you're like, who are the people who could pull us apart? It's very clearly those two.
Yeah, it's Ian Nacho I'm fearing a little bit. I think he's maybe got a point to prove against us because we sort of, I don't know if he would ever come to us over Leicester, but we were certainly in for him. Then we pulled out of any sort of prospect of getting him. I do wonder if maybe he's going to have something to say. That's if he gets ahead of Vardy with the World Cup coming up. The referee, the man in the middle, don't normally mention him, but this week we've got Chris Kavanagh. You might not have heard of him because this is only his 15th Premier League game. Big game for someone who's quite inexperienced in the Premier League. He's been in charge of one West Ham game in his whole career, which was earlier this season, and a 2-0 defeat away to Wigan in the FA Cup. Charlie, you've got a decision to make in goal. Joe Hart or Adrian? I'm asking you because I think everyone knows what mine and Gonzo's answer is going to be. So what's your one?
For me, it's Adrian. He's the goalkeeper that has a bigger chance of being here next year. I also somehow trust him more in goal than I trust Joe Hart. So for me, it'd be Adrian.
Gonzo, we've been playing a back five since Moyes got here. Is it time to rip that up, or do you think we're going to have to just stick with it and try and do something on the other end of the pitch?
No, we don't have to do anything. We've all got our ideas, and anything we speak of here is what we would prefer to do and what we would choose to do rather than what Moyes will do. I think we all know what Moyes will do. I would favour a four at the back, as I said before the last game, and just absolutely going for it. And bearing in mind they're at a low ebb, I think we can sacrifice that additional defender and chuck someone else up front and change the shape a bit.
What would your back four be, Gonzo? I assume it's Zabaleta, Ogbonna, and what's the other two?
Kiate and Cresswell.
Charlie, what about yourself? Do you think we'd be sticking with the back five considering we're leaking so many, or is sort of that why we should switch to back four? We're leaking so many anyway. You might as well just chuck another player up front and try and outscore them.
I would. In my head, I prefer a back four, just because I think I would prefer to be more attacking than sitting there and doing nothing. But I don't believe we kind of have the players to play any formation that I would like with four at the back. So I would probably just stick to five and hit them on a counter attack. Being honest.
Gonzo, back up to the other end of the pitch. Andy Carroll's kissed and made up with David Moyes. Hopefully, it was on a Glaswegian kiss, as David Moyes is maybe used to. Would you start him for this one? I mean, surely out of all this, one thing you cannot question is Andy Carroll's commitment, if you like, or would you be bringing in Hernandez? What would you be doing up front?
No, listen, as disgusted as I am with his behaviour, and indeed the image of him kissing David Moyes is equally disgusting, I would still play him and Chicharito up front. So I just think we got to go for it. I really do. So
what would you do with Arnautovic? Stick him on the wing?
Yeah, I'd put Arnautovic and Lanzini supporting those two and play Noble and Declan Rice in the middle. I say Kiate at the back because I'm not sure about Ginger's availability or fitness. If he was fit, it might have a decision. Having said that, Jamie Vardy had ripped the old Ginger Collins a new as I say.
James Collins and Pedro Obiang have actually both been in training this week and are in contention for the squad on Saturday. Charlie, Gonzo's there and he's going to move the man in form out onto the wing. Is that a sacrifice, if you like, or is that a necessary evil in order to get two other strikers on the pitch?
I think if we're hoping in our wildest dreams that David Moyes does play players that we think he should, then Arnautovic will have to be sacrificed because Hernandez goes up front. I wouldn't push him out on the wing. I would play basically kind of two up top with him and Hernandez together, just because I think they're two skillful players. Why not actually give it a shot? If we're going to just lump it forward to... the amount of times we lob it forward to Arnautovic and he just looks frustrated because there's no one there, we might as well put someone next to him, like flipping Kevin Nolan used to hang around Andy Carroll. So why not just try it and see if it works? If it's going to work against anyone, Leicester would be a team to try.
I would be keeping Arnautovic up front. I think when you write your team down, I think that's the first thing you do. You put Arnautovic in up front. He's scoring the goals. He's got his mojo up there, and you do wonder maybe he has made that position his own, and maybe he's enjoying it. And people speak about his inconsistencies at Stoke. You do wonder moving him into a winger role. And under David Moyes, if you're a winger, you're going to have to track back. Doesn't matter who's behind you, you're going to have to work. And I think that, don't know if that would suit Arnautovic's game. While he works hard in the final third, I would have concerns about him working hard, chasing Ben Chilwell, for example, down the wing. I'm not sure he would do it. So I would keep him up there. I'd probably play Hernandez on this one. While I understand Carl's frustrations, he's not the goal scorer that Hernandez is. I would also be going to 4 at the back for this one as well. I think it's important that we show intent, but the problem is our manager's mentality, which we'll come on to in a second. Charlie, is there any other changes you would like to see to the starting 11? Any players you'd like to see left out or brought in?
Not yet. Ultimately, I want to see Obiang back in the team because I think he's probably the best passer we have in the middle. But I just, at this stage, it's just too stupid to risk anyone who's just coming back from injury way too early. So I wouldn't even probably include him on the bench, being honest.
While Leicester City have not won in 5 home Premier League games, West Ham United have not won in 5 away Premier League games. Gonzo, bearing all that in mind, are you confident for the trip on Saturday?
No, it's hard to pluck any confidence from anywhere, I think. So, but I'm not fearful of Leicester by the same token, but I'm not confident. I just think our recent form and the way we're going to set up to play makes it impossible to have any confidence. I sort of wonder if I'm feeling like that, how the players feel. Are the players confident in the system or what they're going to be asked to do? So I think it's very, very hard to.
Charlie, on last night's cup of tea, Gonzo said David Moyes, he doesn't think David Moyes should be sacked if we lose. I said I think David Moyes should be sacked if we lose. What's your opinion if the worst outcome happens?
Yeah, I agreed with you. I hadn't really thought about it until you said it. But then when you mentioned if we lose, then the worst comes to the worst. Like, I don't trust him anyway. I don't trust the way he plays. I don't trust him managing. I don't trust him with the squad at all. So if we were to lose, at least we then have a chance of someone coming in and G'ing up the squad a bit like Bilic did when he first came in. Just getting someone in there to just give them a lift, because right now you've got players storming off the bench. You've got all the fans in disarray. The last thing we need is us to lose and then come back and see David Moyes' dour face talking about how we tried and all this other stuff again. It's just, we might as well get rid of him. I think you were bang on last night.
I'm quite confident of not losing for this one for some reason. I think everything's going wrong at Leicester, or it's going right. It depends what you look at it. As fans, it's a bit like us. We want rid of Moyes so much. We actually seen Andy Carroll having a fight with David Moyes is a good thing. That's how, and it's got to that point with Leicester now. Those fans are looking at getting rid of their manager as their top priority in the summer. So whatever has to happen between now and then has to happen in order to get him removed. They have fantastic players. I'm missing Mark Albrighton. He got sent off last week against Crystal Palace. That's quite big in a way. He's very underrated.
He's been playing right back, though, apparently.
To be fair, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I read in the thing today. They've been frustrated. One of the fans' frustrations is they stuck Mark Albrighton at right back.
Well, that doesn't make sense then. It shows what I know about Leicester. I need to read the forum a little bit more. Mahrez to Real Madrid. Vardy's going to the World Cup. That's all I read and just thought, yeah, that's fine. That's my research done for that one. But this, Charlie said at the start of the show, you could pick a Premier League team to play this weekend. Leicester would probably be one of them. But the problem is, if you were a Leicester fan, you'd be picking West Ham. That's the big problem here. And while they're not winning, they got smashed 5-0 by Crystal Palace this week, and when you watch it back, some of the goalkeeping and that was horrendous in that game. They've only lost 1 in 10 at home, and this thing with the manager's been bubbling for more than just a week or two. This has been bubbling for a couple of months now, and they've still been grinding out draws mainly at home. So, but I'm confident we won't lose. But Charlie, what about yourself? Are you confident for this one?
I'm as confident as I can be. Unfortunately, I find myself now going into every game the best expecting a draw, because I just don't trust the manager or the players anymore. I'm confident that it will be a very boring game and that the score will be kept low either way.
Well, that ties in with our betway charity bet this week, because for 5-1 you can get West Ham not to lose, double chance, under 3.5 goals, so it covers 0-0, 1-1, 2-1 West Ham, etc. West Ham to get more than 2 cards. This referee hands out cards, by the way. He hands out plenty of them, about 4 or 5 a game. So it could be a tasty affair on Saturday. And both teams get 4 or more corners. While Leicester haven't been in great form at home recently, they've still been getting a decent amount of corners due to their counter-attacking and wide play. 5-1 for that, so £300 going to charity if that bet comes in. Gonzo, is this a must-win or a must-not-lose? And what's your score prediction, please?
It's a must not lose. I think we should go and win it, but we won't go and win it because despite any evidence to the contrary, Moyes will think that his tactics work and shutting up shop. However, they might just, because you mentioned Vardy, you've mentioned Leicester City's a counter-attacking style. There's not going to be any space in which they can counter-attack. So we are going to sit deep, and I've got a sneaking suspicion that we can all I say celebrate, it'll be more be like, hey, like that. We can all do that after a 0-0 draw.
Charlie, is this a must win or a must not lose? And what's your score prediction, please?
It's a must not lose. If we're going to get any points, I think this is the game we're going to get points in. I think best case scenario would be 1-0 to us. However, I believe it'll probably end up 1-1.
I agree with you too. It's a must not lose. That's how our manager's going to view it. He's going to want to concede less to the opposition rather than score more. That's how he's going to set up on Saturday. I think we can all expect a 5-4-1 formation. I'll be very surprised if we've got Hernandez and Natovic up front. But you never know. He might just go for it. He's got to start feeling the pressure at some point if he wants to keep his job. He's surely got to think, well, hang on, I'm doing something wrong here. I'm going to agree with Charlie's end score there. I'm going to go for 1-1 as well. But let us know in the comments below what you think. Also, if you want to sign, you want to be in a chance of winning this signed Antonio shirt, and there's a video link on your screen right now for a cup of tea that me and Gonzo did last night. Just comment on that video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to enter. And we'll see you on Saturday straight after the game, discussing hopefully safety for West Ham United.